Welcome back, Mando.
Greetings, Bucketheads. Mevar Tagar. Welcome to our 335th episode of Mandovision. I am your host, Nargai Tom. I'm sorry, 336th Warhead Wandering episode of Mandovision. I am your host, Nargai Tom, and thank you so much for checking out this small, independent Star Wars podcast. We are so glad you're here. Hit us up on the socials at Mando_Vision on Twitter /X and Instagram. And you can email the show, mandovisiontom@gmail.com. Also on Blue Sky at Mandovision. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, and sharing the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. Bucketheads, we are back for another exciting installment of our Star Wars Rebels rewatch series. A lot going on in this episode, a lot of things happening, but you know, by and large, not an episode hypercritical to the mythology, if you will, but an episode nonetheless that I think is important for Zeb Orrelios, our security captain of Chopper Base, and that's a good thing, and that's a strong element of this episode that we want to talk about, we want to highlight, and again, I just like droids, so I like this episode quite a bit. It's a good one in many senses, but more importantly, it's also sort of, is gateway the right word? I don't know. But like after this episode is when everything really kicks into high gear and the show goes into full high octane mode, with just mythology building episodes after mythology building episodes that are absolutely fantastic as we hit the home stretch of this third season of Rebels. So I do just kind of want to get into the episode. I do want to kind of just start talking about it because, again, it's not the most amazing episode, but it's got Chopper, AP5, and Zeb doing things against a sort of new kind of Imperial probe droid, these infiltrator droids, which have, in my opinion, combat-wise, have a lot in common with the old Super Commando droids from the Clone Wars. That's just my 2 cents on it. The versatility of the droid, the way the droids attack, the way they move, reminded me of the Commando droids from the Clone Wars era. This is an episode that, again, a little underrated in my opinion, but we should go ahead and get into the particulars of it anyways, so we can start our conversation. This is Star Wars Rebels, Season 3, Episode 14, Warhead. Original air date, January 14th, 2017. Our plot for this episode: Chopper and Zeb find a droid out in the Atollon wasteland, and upon returning it to base, they learn that it is an Imperial droid programmed to hunt and kill rebels. Directed by Bosco and G, written by Gary Whitta, the Gary Whitta of Rogue One fame, and of course Stephen Melching on the story editing. Our primary cast for this week's episode, you know them, you love them. Taylor Gray is Ezra Bridger. Vanessa Marshall is Harrison Dula. Freddie Prinze Jr. is Kanan Jarrus. Tia Sakara is Sabine Wren. Steve Blum is Zeb Orrelios. Dave Filoni is Chopper. David Oluwalo is Agent Callus. Steven Stanton is AP5. And a couple other people. David Accord is the Imperial Infiltrator droid. EXD9, and some other people. And of course, Lars Mikkelsen is Grand Admiral Thrawn. And listen, I may not talk about it on the other half, so I want to mention it now. You see the design of the Chimera underneath Thrawn's ship in this episode. So, very, very exciting in that regards. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. You know what that means, my friends. It is time. Strap on your buckets. Let's go.
Get out of here. We'll hold them off.
You're going to have to relocate the covert.
This is the way.
This is the way.
The opening of this episode is very reminiscent of the opening of The Empire Strikes Back, where we see a bunch of Star Destroyers and they're launching probe droids out into the galaxy to find where the rebels have gone after the Battle of Yavin. This time around, they're just looking to find out where the rebel base is. And they're not exactly launching probe droids. These are small, little shuttles. And as we find out as one lands on Atollon, it has a droid inside. This droid captures the attention of the... I've already forgotten the name of the spiders, but the spiders of the Atollon, and it ends in conflict, and the spiders, well, at least one of the spiders dies, but the droid gets powered down by the end of it. Then we cut to Chopper Base, and we find out that there's a mission going on, and Hera's taking the crew, and they're going to depart, but Zeb and Chopper are staying behind, and because Zeb is the captain of security, right? Like, the security chief of the base needs to be present. He can't be going off on missions all the time. Also, right before this, a great, unvoiced, sort of, tiny small part of Hobby and Wedge, on Atollon base, getting ready to do some reconnaissance missions from the base. So fun to see Wedge and Hobby Clavin as well. But Hera's departing. Chopper is going to stay behind. Zeb is going to stay behind. He's not real stoked about it because AP5 wants to do an inventory, and Zeb has no time for counting crates. So when word of meteor activity in the system and one of the perimeter sensors going down comes across Zeb's radar, he's like, no, don't send a team out. I got this, and Chopper will come with me. And Chopper's like, well, I don't want to go. And then, Zeb's like, hey, well, that's cool. You can stay here and do inventory with AP5. And then, of course, Chopper wants to go. So we head out into the wasteland, and they place the new perimeter sensor. And then Zeb notices something around the husk of a dead spider. And that is where we find the EXD-5 droid that is disabled at this point, powered down and not functional. This is a droid that has a lot of familiarity visually with the old Ralph McQuarrie drawings of the original ideas he had for C-3PO. They've obviously painted in blue, done things a little bit differently, but it looks very much like a variant of a protocol droid. So interesting in that regard, and it's always fun to incorporate the original Ralph McQuarrie concept designs into the show. Rebels has done a lot of this for background features, for background characters, and again, like Zeb is sort of a variant of the original designs for Chewbacca. So the Lasat sort of spin out of the designs for the Wookiees. So interesting stuff there, and again, it just goes to show that, even now, long after his passing, Ralph McQuarrie's designs still inspire so much of Star Wars. It's so fantastic to see. It's one of my favorite elements of Star Wars, is because that concept art that we've seen from McQuarrie, for me, it hits me in the core. It hits me in my heart, and it reminds me of just these wonderful visions of fantasy and this idea of creating a universe from nothingness, just words on a page, and Ralph McQuarrie takes it and gives it vision. It's beautiful, it's majestic, it's absolutely captivating. So the idea that they continually go to his designs still to this day, even long after his passing, and even long after, and his inspiration on guys like Doug Chiang. That's so seismic. That's so important. It's so wonderful. So we see that with this Infiltrator droid, and I love it. I love it. Now, Zeb's decision to bring this droid into the base strikes me as odd. I'm not going to lie. we know Zeb's maybe not like the sharpest knife in the drawer, and even Chopper's like, dude, why don't you just let me like smash this thing with my hammer? Because like it's just a dumb droid in the middle of the wasteland that got killed by a spider. And yeah, I think I agree with Chopper because I would have so many questions. Like, where is this droid? Clearly, I don't know this design of the droid. Why would I want to take this back to base? What if this thing is something that it doesn't appear to be? And again, I think as an audience member, like we're all asking ourselves these same questions. But Zeb, I don't know. Maybe he thinks that it could serve some purpose to aid the rebellion or to aid at Chopper Base. And that's what he's hoping the case will be. And instead of like investigating around and being like, well, why was this droid out in the middle of the wastelands? Where did it come from? What's going on here? Any hoot. So that we go back to Chopper Base. We take it to AP5. AP5 thinks it's a protocol droid. It seems to have that rudimentary protocol droid appearance. And then they decide to give it some juice and bring it back to life, per se. And when they do, they realize it's like, hey, this droid's really good at counting things. This droid's really good at doing an inventory, which is what AP5 was trying to do in the first place. So they're like, oh, it's an inventory droid. Clearly, it's super sophisticated at counting things. Well, guess what? Not the case at all, because one of the people in the Imperial service who is launching these droids is our friend Agent Callus, who we now know as Fulcrum. And Fulcrum sends a message to Chopper Base being like, hey, guess what? We have been sending out Imperial Infiltrator droids to 1 billion different planets. And guess what? We lost contact with one of them. And if we don't restore contact with that one that's missing, we're going to come and investigate. So the implication is that like, if you happen to know where this droid is, you might want it to establish contact so that we don't think that your world is the world that we need to go to. So that puts Zeb in a position. And again, and Fulcrum sends like blueprints, right? Like of what this infiltrator droid looks like. And it shows it in its sort of like Warhead configuration, right? Like it's aggressive, a commando droid kind of configuration. And it's like, oh yeah, that looks like that thing means some business. But then it shifts and it shows it in its protocol mode, which is much more, it's sort of its camouflage. And then Zeb realizes, of course, the egregious mistake that he made by bringing this droid into the base. So he's on high alert. And it's funny, too, because the more Zeb talks around this droid, that's what sort of brings its memory back. And sort of reminds itself that it's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm an Imperial droid, and I'm here to find rebels and kill rebels. So Zeb sort of activates the droid by happenstance. And it doesn't go well. This is a droid that's very sophisticated, advanced in combat, and harder to hit than you might imagine. Again, jumps around, leaps around, a lot of movement like the Commando droids from the Clone Wars era. And that's okay. We like that. Those are good droids. Eventually, a plan is hatched. Not a great plan, by the way. AP5, I love AP5's sarcasm through this episode. His mocking, his cynicism. I think it's all brilliant. I loved it all so much. And the idea that Zeb will just grab the robot and pin it down, and then AP5 can deactivate it, right? And all these things happen. And then, of course, that's how it plays out. It's a great action sequence. It's fun with Chopper as the bait, getting into and Zeb kind of getting into like I don't know, hand-to-hand combat basically with this droid. Then eventually able to wrestle it to the ground and sort of gain the upper hand, and AP5 having to sort of power it down. And then, like, what do? Now you're in a predicament where you want to power it down. Oh, but guess what? It activated a self-destruct sequence, kind of like a la Predator. Chopper's able to avert that by freeze blasting the countdown circuits. But now Zeb has to figure out what's the move. Like, what do you do here? And he goes through a couple different scenarios, but eventually he lands in the idea of like, well, what if we were able to reprogram this droid so it would go back, report nothing, and then we would activate the bomb and blow up some bad guys. And I mean, by and large, it all works. I mean, it's in AP. I sort of love AP5's sort of astonishment at the cleverness of Zeb's plan. AP5 very vocally not thinking Zeb's the smartest guy, the I don't know, sharpest knife. Again, I guess I'll just go with sharpest knife in the drawer. The biggest, best cookie in the jar. I don't know, whatever you want to say. A couple different things you can go with. So all these things come to fruition. All these things happen. And Zeb's plan is like, hey, we're going to reprogram the droid. We're going to reactivate the bomb when it gets back to the base. And like, no one's going to know it was from our planet. No one's going to know it was here. No one's going to know which droid it was. And it all works. Like, they put the droid into the thing in the Star Destroyer to access its memory core. And that's when the bomb reactivates and blows them all up, including the Star Destroyer. And again, it all works out great. Zeb's plan, without a hitch. It was a little outlandish, but AP5, Chopper, and Zeb make a great team. What I thought was the most interesting, again, Hera and everybody comes back to base and they're like, what the heck? It's been a day. Why are you calling us back? Something happened. Here's what happened. But it's when we cut back to the Empire, and Agent Callus goes to see Thrawn. And Thrawn is like, Callus points out, you seem not so upset that we just had a Star Destroyer blow up on us, and we still don't know where the rebels are. And Thrawn says, well, you know what? The rebels won this hand, but guess what they've done by doing this? They have revealed that they are on one of these 98 planets. And Thrawn is a man of patience. Thrawn is a man of logic and cunning. And the rebels, even by doing this, have narrowed the parameters of where they are in the galaxy down to such a degree that Thrawn is insanely confident that he will be able to pinpoint where they are very, very soon, because they've taken the countless thousands of systems in the galaxy out of the equation and narrowed it down to 97. So Thrawn, again, while he may have taken a defeat in the battle, feels that he is on the verge of winning the war because he is about to find out where they are. And again, we now know that Callus is Fulcrum. So this is news that will leak back to our friends at some point. But it sets the stage very, very nicely for a final confrontation on Atollon and for the rebels and the people at Chopper Base. I like this episode. I'm a big fan of droid stuff. I wish the Infiltrator droids were expanded on a little bit more. I've seen that at one point Dave Filoni had talked about wishing he had more time to sort of readapt the Infiltrator droids to look a little bit more like the K2 security droids, which would have been very, very interesting at the time too. But again, I love the incorporation of the Ralph McQuarrie design in this, and I think it makes it super, super fun. So it's like 7.8 buckets. I mean, it's not quite an 8 bucket episode, but it's not as low as the 7. It's like maybe, I guess 7.5. We'll split the difference, right? Because I don't do 7.6s. So it's like 7.5 buckets, and we'll call it there. Solid episode of the show. Underrated episode of the show, but it's also like the launching pad into some of the best episodes of this season. So we have to buckle up and make sure our buckets are on. All right. So keep those buckets on as we move forward into the final episodes of this season. All right, and make sure you're following me on the socials at Mando_Vision, Twitter/X and Instagram, Mandovision at Blue Sky, MandovisionTom@gmail.com. If you want to reach out and send me some long-form communications, that is always appreciated. And support the show. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, following, and sharing the show with all the Mandalorians in your covert. And if you're on that Apple podcast, sweet 5-star reviews. Thank you so much, Buckethead Nation. You guys continue to be the best supporters out there in the galaxy. We are small but mighty, and your support of this independent Star Wars podcast means the world to me. Let's go out there, continue to be great Star Wars fans, kind, supportive, respectful, understanding, and willing to listen to insanity. We've all listened to insanity at some point, but we just nod our heads. We're like, okay, All right, that's an interesting take. All right. But because we're polite. We're polite people. And that's okay. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Star Wars Rebels Rewatch. And of course, if there is any breaking Star Wars news, we will be here with Bantha Tracks bonus shows as that happens. So, in the meantime, woof, can you believe it, friends? It's November already. My goodness. The rest of the year is rocketing towards its conclusion. It'll be 2026 before you know it, which means we are so close to The Mandalorian and Grogu in cinemas. Star Wars back on the big screen where it belongs. Cannot wait, friends. All right, again, this is the Mandivision Podcast. My name is Tom, Narguy Tom. Thank you for the support and the awesomeness that you guys are. We'll be back next week with another episode of the show. But in the meantime, remember, this podcast can only end one way. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
I would like to see the baby.